Amazing, thank you. And thank you for the introduction. As mentioned, I'm Becca, an account manager at Tangerine and a tutor at the Juice Academy. So I thought it'd just be really helpful to give you a bit of an introduction to me, what I do, how I got into the role in the first place, sort of my journey from school through to account manager and tutor, and a little bit of background into what the roles actually are, what we do on a day-to-day basis, and how it feeds into a wider digital marketing career. So essentially, my journey to account manager started with sixth form. Um, I went to a sixth form that was attached to my school, and coming out of sixth form, didn't really know what I wanted to do. Wasn't quite sure what career path I wanted to go down, so I knew that university wasn't for me. So instead, I had a look on the government website at apprenticeships, the various different ones that are out there, and lots of different things that I can do. And found the Juice Academy, which was a social media apprenticeship. I didn't know what that meant at the time. Social media to me was just a really cool thing to have. I sort of grew up in the generation where social media was being introduced to us. Getting a Bebo account or a Facebook account was really cool. And I didn't quite realise that you could get a job in that. So I did a little bit more research into the Juice Academy and found that it was the UK's first digital industry-led apprenticeship. So that meant that it was taught by experts from Tangerine, which is it's now an employee-owned comms agency in Manchester. So I applied to the Juice Academy and didn't really think about the job interview in the sense that I would a normal job interview, because it was packaged as a boot camp day, which sounds quite intense, but it was actually really cool. So we all got invited along to the day, and did various different group tasks and individual tasks, which meant that the employers who were looking for apprentices, that was Tangerine and various different employees from across the Northwest, meant that they could see how you were sort of interacting with other people in the group on the day, how you were interacting with them as employers. And it was just a really good chance to get my skills across, basically, in terms of confidence and how we work in a team and things like that. So we did the bootcamp day, and I was quite lucky to get offered an apprenticeship at Tangerine. So going from GCSE and A-levels, I got a level 3 diploma in social media for business. For me, it was a year-long course, and we learned various different things from within the digital marketing space, everything from the laws of social media, things like defamation and what you can and can't say online, editing, so video editing, photo editing, how to develop strategies, how to speak to customers online. There was so much that was packaged into the year, and we had a lot of people from Tangerine teaching us, so experts in the field, and we had guest speakers, so representatives from like Greater Manchester Police and various different companies across the Northwest that support us as the Academy. And once I'd done that year apprenticeship, I got kept on at Tangerine as a PR assistant. So sort of taking my social media skills into a more traditional PR role. And since then, throughout the 7 years I've been there, I've sort of worked my way up through the different roles. So from PR assistant to junior account exec, senior account exec, and now account manager. And then social media skills have helped me all the way through, really. One of the interesting things for me starting in the industry when I did was that the roles were changing because social media was becoming a part of everyday life for so many of us. Traditional PR was changing from just press releases and speaking to media titles to running digital campaigns for clients, running their social media channels, writing blogs for them, and doing things like that. So that's a little bit of background into my journey, how I got into it. So I'll also talk through the role that I'm in at the minute, the kind of work that we get involved with and what we do as an agency. So, being an account manager. The role of an account manager within an agency is quite a key role because we're sort of in the middle of various different teams, and we have to communicate with different team members at all levels to make sure that we're running campaigns in the way that they should be, make sure that they're on brief and in line with the budgets that our clients give us, and so that we're achieving real results for them, really. Acting as a bit of an advisor to the client and taking on their needs and giving them advice in terms of what to do next to get the best results for them. So to give you a bit of background on what my day-to-day role includes, client handling, so speaking to the client on a regular basis, having calls with them, hosting meetings in a different way nowadays than we used to do. We used to love inviting people to the office and having face-to-face meetings with them, but now it's more on Zoom and doing events like this. But it's basically just speaking to the client, listening to their pressures, understanding what it is that they want to achieve, and then developing a campaign to help them do that. Understanding when they're happy or if they're a bit frustrated with something, so that we can resolve issues for them. And then once we've sort of had the conversations with them, and the conversations are ongoing, be it email or call or anything like that, it comes to content creation. So within the agency, generally, we create content from social media posts, blog posts, images, videos. We've recently done things like podcasts and panel events that have been hosted on Zoom in light of the pandemic that we've had. And then on the more traditional side as well, we do still do press releases and thought leadership articles and features and things like that, because we do have a nice mix of traditional and digital clients. So there's a lot of content that we do create on a day-to-day basis. And once we've sort of created that content working within the teams that we have at Tangerine, which I'll come on to in a second, we look at the distribution and channel management. So as an account manager and working with the account execs, we look at where's the best place to put the content that we've made, whether it be an Instagram picture or a Facebook post or a blog post. We work out where is best to put it. If it's got any social media spend behind it, how much of a budget do we need? Do we have enough money to distribute it to the audience that we want to distribute it to? Who is the audience? Working with our DIDS team to actually create the audience and work out where our audience is sitting and what it is that they want to consume, basically. And then once we've got everything live, is just managing the content through. So doing what we call in-play analysis to keep an eye on whether it's working, whether it's achieving the results that we want it to achieve. And if not, what can we change to make sure it's running correctly and properly and to get the results that we want. And again, in terms of PR, traditional PR, pitching it to the right publications, the right magazines, talking to the correct journalists, and making sure that any amends that need making on the copy have been made. And then once everything's gone out, we look at evaluation. So we have a specialist team at Tangerine that I work alongside to evaluate all of the content that we send out, especially on social media and digital platforms. The analytical tools available to us, whether that be built into the platforms or a separate platform that we pay for, they're so robust these days and so advanced in what they can give us in terms of how well content has performed, whether we needed to have changed anything, looking at how many people have seen it, how many people have engaged with it, the types of people that have engaged with it as well, to make sure that A, is our content working, and B, is it hitting the people that we want it to hit. So that's a bit of an overview in terms of the day-to-day, and then more generally in terms of an agency. At Tangerine in particular, my role includes organic growth, which includes looking at the clients that we've got at the minute and seeing if we can add value to them anywhere else. Is there another service that we can offer them if they don't currently have an Instagram page, but they should be on Instagram? Talking to them about that and showing them the benefits of having the different tools or the different platforms, and just working with them to make sure they're getting the best results out of the content that they're creating. And then new business as well. So as well as nurturing and looking after the clients that we've got, working on new business pitches. So whether it be a potential new client coming to us or us going to a potential new client, pulling together documents to show how we can work together to get the best results for them, looking at what they're doing at the minute. Can they change anything? Can they tweak any of their business processes or their social media tone of voice, or can they be creating a bit more fun content to put out to their audiences? So working with potential new clients to be able to help them progress their business. And then an important one for account managers in particular is people management. We're a team of about 60 people at Tangerine, but no matter what size agency you're at, you're always going to be working with people, be it clients or the team around you. So for example, I've got execs and other managers and account directors to work with. And then outside of the core client services team, we've got the DIDS team. We've got a studio of very talented motion designers and videographers and things like that, making content on a day-to-day basis. So it's just having good communication skills to be able to talk to them, to be able to manage work through the different processes and pick up on any struggles that the team might be having. So for example, during lockdown, a big part of all of our jobs was just talking to each other, making sure we're all coping well, working from home, making sure that we're all still in a happy and a good place. And that's one of the great things about Tangerine and the Juice Academy in particular, is it's such a caring team. Be it an apprentice through to an associate director, everyone's so loving and caring, and people management is a big part of that, and making sure that you're motivating your team to get the best results, basically. So taking a look at how my role fits into the wider agency, we worked with, I mentioned the studio, so we work with the design teams to brief them on the different assets that they need. For example, if our client has come to us and they want a batch of content creating, we speak to the studio and the creative team to brainstorm what would work best. We do a bit of research into what we know is working with the audience, and we share background on the campaign so they know what it is that we're looking to achieve. And then we work with them on agreeing the look and feel of the content. Every client for us has a different tone of voice, has a different style, has a different audience that they're talking to. So we need to make sure that we're aligned with their brand guidelines, but also maybe pushing the boat out if we need to push the boat out, or being safe where we need to be safe, and being informative and fun and engaging. So we work quite closely with the studio to be able to develop that content and then share it with the client. So as I mentioned, in terms of the studio, the job roles we've got as part of that team ranges from motion designers, graphic designers, videographers. They're good on audio, so recording podcasts. And it's both, not so much at the minute, but it's both in the office work and going out and shooting videos. So the team has been around the UK doing lots of different filming for lots of different clients. And then it's working as a team to get that into the final product, over to the client and agreed and sent out on social media. And that's where the DIDS teams come in as well. So for us, DIDS is data, insight, distribution and strategy, which sounds like a lot for them to do. And to be fair, it is. So it's a lot of looking at the different social media platforms, and it moves so quickly in social. So we need to keep up to date on the latest platforms, where people are sitting at the minute. So for example, TikTok is the big craze at the moment and everyone's on there. So looking at if there's something that we can do for clients on TikTok, for example, if their audience is sat there. So they do a lot of that back research and pull together insights that feeds into the work that we as a client services team do, and into the work that the studio as a design team do. And then they look at things like the distribution. So as I mentioned, working out the budgets, looking at the timescales of how long an ad should be running, looking at the audience, like where is the audience sitting? Is it on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or Instagram? Or do they not use social at all? Is there another way that we should be targeting them? And pulling together the strategies and making sure that that strategy runs for a long enough time. And then again, talking about evaluation, doing a lot of data crunching, looking at how many people have seen things or who it is that has seen things, so that we can take learnings from every campaign that we do and feed it into the next one. Because the campaigns are never just going to stop. but there's always a learning that we can take, or there's always something new that we can feed into the campaigns. And again, as I mentioned a little bit, so working with the junior and the senior members of the team to make sure that we're on track with the campaign. So pulling the campaigns together is a group effort. We do it as a full team. We get a lot of people involved to make sure we're delivering the best results, to make sure we can deliver what we're setting out to deliver, but also understanding their time pressures and being able to plan around what people have got on, whether it be an event or another big piece of work for a different client, and just planning around them and making sure we're getting the best results from them as a team to get the best results from the clients. And then, as I said, regular contact with the clients, like what we're doing is for them at the end of the day. So we need to keep them up to date on how the campaigns are performing, on the works that we've got in progress at the minute, and develop an understanding of them as people, and sort of getting a feel for if they're happy with something, if they're getting slightly frustrated, resolving issues for them. And that could come in the form of just picking up the phone and having a chat to them, or sending regular emails, or sending updates at the end of every week. It differs from client to client depending on what it is that they prefer in terms of calls or emails and things like that. But having conversations with the clients is a big part of our job. And then outside of digital as well, traditional media is still, there's the age-old argument of whether print media is dying, but there is a lot of journalists who are still working. There are a lot of media publications that do both online and print magazines. So we do a lot of liaison with journalists and the sales team at the media publications to sell in our stories and to book adverts online or in the magazines, in line with what the client wants us to achieve. So in terms of examples of work and giving you a bit of a flavour of what we do at Tangerine, we work for clients on the consumer side, like Pizza Hut and Vimto and Stagecoach, and we do a lot of like animations, and especially for Pizza Hut, a lot of social content, a lot of video. They have a really good presence on social media. And then for Stagecoach, informative videos and animations in more recent times, looking at how to use a mask on the bus and when they should or shouldn't use a mask and things like that. And then we've also got a strong business to business side of the company. So companies like Juicen and Topcon and PPG Paint, having a look at their social channels, and we develop very similar content in terms of animation and podcast and video, and it's just shared in a slightly different way. And then a bit of a roundup of the skills that are needed for doing that. Excellent communication skills, as I said, talking to clients, talking to journalists, talking to other people in the team. Our job is talking to people and being people among people. So communication skills is really key. Time and people management, especially in an agency where you're working with different clients. It's about managing your time properly and your people properly, but also if you're in-house and working at a company, just making sure that you've got the time to do what you're setting out to do. Copywriting and document development, even with social media, a lot of the job is drafting posts or responding to customers. So copy drafting and developing the strategies and things like that is a big part of what we do. And then more generally, a positive can-do attitude. We're a very positive team at Tangerine and Juice Academy, and it definitely shows and it rubs off when someone's happy, like you become happy as well. So just being up for trying new things and challenging each other and helping each other out is such a strong part of what we do. And then just in case anyone does maybe want to go into this side of things, I thought I'd give you an overview of what it's like to be a tutor. So I'm very precious about my role as a tutor, having come through the Juice Academy myself and learning from people at Tangerine who are experts in what they do, being able to take that knowledge and expertise and the knowledge and expertise that I've learned myself through working at Tangerine and being able to share that and putting theory into context for the next generation of apprentices is so rewarding. So in terms of how that looks in terms of a role, we're on cohort 28 at the minute. We have 4 at any one time going through. We have 4 intakes a year. So it's regular teaching, it was face-to-face lessons, and now more recently it's Zoom lessons. We've just taken our first remote cohort, which means that we can teach people not just from the Northwest, we've been able to teach people from around the country, which is absolutely fantastic. So that's something that we've recently added. And it's also the development of sessions and session plans. So we're aligned with Ofsted guidelines. So there's regular updates to the sessions to make sure that we're in line with their guidelines, but also social media moves so quickly. We need to update the sessions and the session plans all the time to make sure we're teaching the apprentices the latest in terms of social media or the latest digital marketing tactics. So there's a lot of tweaking to the sessions and just keeping up to date with the industry. And then again, people liaison, so talking to the course coordinators at Juice, talking to the training providers that we work with to make sure that we're aligned with the syllabus that we're following and with the Ofsted guidelines, and to make sure that we're really giving the next generation of young people the best education that they can get from us, to be able to take that into their own workplace and start making changes, or to start really making a difference to their companies. And then beyond the classroom, it's being aware of continuous professional development and constantly taking advantage of, be it free or paid training opportunities. We do a lot of peer-to-peer assessments, so watching each other's sessions and giving tips on how to maybe improve a group task or an individual task or things like that, constructive feedback. And then more recently, looking at things like how to be the best remote trainer. Zoom is something that we've all had to adapt to. And even events like this all happening online instead of face-to-face. It's just something that we've all had to learn, and it's something that we've adapted to in the academy as well, especially because networking was such a big part of what we do. We've had to find different ways to do it, and this is a perfect example of how we can do it. And then confidence to take part in events and sort of keep getting our name in front of potential apprentices and potential employers, because we do rely on them to do what we do. So for example, I was a few years ago part of a group of young people who launched the Northwest Young Apprentice Ambassador Network, and I spoke on stage at the launch to around 100 apprentices about the importance of social media and how it's sort of changing our lives. Basically, it's become a part of what we do. So it's taking the skills that I learned in Juice and sort of putting that into a way that I can spread the word about Juice, because it's such a valuable course to do. So in terms of the skills needed for a tutor role or a role within Juice, for example, is again excellent communication skills, whether it be talking to an apprentice, talking to a course coordinator or a training provider, or talking to people at events like this. We're just talking to people all the time. It's what we do. So we need good skills in it. A passion for supporting young people. They're so bright, and we've seen it in the Juice Academy that the people coming through into digital careers, be it a young person straight out of school or someone who's looking to swap their career into a digital role, they've got a passion for social, and we've got a passion for helping them into social. So it works very well. And then a strong understanding of the industry. I've said it a couple of times, but the industry moves so quickly, and we need to keep up to date all the time to make sure we're doing the latest in terms of a channel or a skill or a new law that's been passed through. So it's having a passion for digital and for social media and content creation to be able to get the best results. And confidence, just being confident in what you'll do and what you're putting across to the young people, because they thrive on your confidence as well. And that's it from me.